All right, y'all. First and foremost, give our praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the Son of Hamashiach, who some call Yahweh Shai, Yeshua, Yehoshua. We mostly know as Jesus Christ. Um, does precept mean precept upon? I mean, does Isaiah 28 is that giving us some hermeneutic, some principle or methodology? To understanding the text. Isaiah chapter 28 and verse 10, precept must be upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. Is this Isaiah telling us how to gain understanding with the text? What is he saying here? And for most of Israel, this is a foundational verse. Precept must be upon precept, to the point where I see a lot of even Christian apologists even saying that. And then brothers will say certain things like, well, where's your precept, brother? Where's your other precept? And well, I really can't go with it if it's only one precept, brother. You need a precept upon a precept. But let's start, just for time purposes. You go up there and read, but Ephraim is being described as a drunkard, being overtaken with wine. And the Most High is talking about how it will destroy it. He shows it as this great, I know he used the metaphor of the summer fruit, like a unripened fruit, like it's just starting to get there, like them plums, man. If you ever was a kid and you grew up around plum trees, man, we used to get them plums. They still be yellow, but we'll eat them. We'll eat them. We don't even let them grow up to get size and get ripe. Man, as soon as we see some on there, some of them even green, we trying to eat them. Man, we was up there foraging, getting off school, man, jumping gates, trying to get in folks' yards and stuff, trying to eat these folks' fruit off their trees. But everybody used to have them, man. Used to be trees anyway. Let me stay focused though. But you go in there and read them first 8-9 verses there. And just describing Ephraim as a drunkard. I know some people spiritualize the drunken part as, being overtaken with other doctrines. But this is why I'm doing this video. Because of hyper spiritualization of the text. We're going to the extreme, and it's a group that I'm going to talk about, y'all willing, in the morning. Nah, this probably ain't gonna be in the morning. Y'all willing tomorrow. I'll do a video on this other Israelite group. That's been out here a little minute. Been out here a few years. But they because of their misunderstanding of this verse, everything has pretty much, their doctrine is just, it's out there. And I don't know if we can bring them back. But prayerfully, we can. But we're going to have to go over this verse. We're going to have to do this type of video, this verse on video on this verse maybe every other month. That's how prominent this verse is for within Israelism. And you may see something that you probably haven't seen, that people probably haven't looked at. For precept must be upon precept. Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand? Verse 9, make to understand doctrine. Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast have to understand who is the he there. Whom shall he teach knowledge? Whom shall he? Who is he talking about? Them that are weaned from the breast and from the milk. And this could be a question also. Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. And we'll look at comparative text on that. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little, there a little. For with stammering lips and with another tongue will he speak to his people. And, you got to understand this. We went from precept plus precept. We got the weaned from the milk, drawn from the breast. Whom shall he teach knowledge? Then he says, with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to his people. Like, how do we get there? How do we get there to the stammering lips and the precept must be upon precept? And we're trying to get understanding here, and then stammering lips here. It just doesn't seem as harmonious as we would like it to be. Doesn't seem like it's harmonizing. Seems like it's kind of a couple different thoughts here jumping all over the place, but it is when we look into it here. All right, I know brothers like, man, what are you talking about, brother? Well, what is a precept? What is a precept? Is a precept a verse that correlates with another verse? Pretty much a verse that says the same thing as another verse, and so I see it two times, therefore I have two witnesses. All right, and when you dealing with those verses about where there needs to be two or three witnesses to establish a matter, go back to those verses and see if those verses are dealing with judgment, or are those verses dealing with doctrinal matters? Are those verses dealing with judgment after a sin, where you need two or three witnesses to establish a matter? Just like when you're trying to face a judgment on somebody, and somebody only gives you half the story, you need the other witness before you make that judgment. Or is those verses really saying that you need two people, or you need to hear from two different prophets, or you need to see, a verse here and a verse there? You need to see the verse repeated in order for us to say, you know what, that's yeah, we gotta do that. We have to do that there. So go back to those verses and see if that's the case. But for now, we just dealing with precept. What is a precept? What is a precept? And if you're saying that it is a verse that correlates with another verse, where did you get that from? You got that from Isaiah 28. It's the only place you could get it from, right? But a precept is a law, right? Precept is a law. Keep thy precepts. I get understanding because I keep thy precepts. We'll look at it. But we'll look at precept here. Hold on, let me go back. We'll look at it here in the Hebrew. All right, it's the word sav. Command, ordinance, oracle, meaning dubious. Meaning dubious. All right, meaning dubious. Meaning it's not really saying what you think it's saying. All right, used in mocking mimicry of Isaiah's words, and thus not a true divine command. This is a mockery. All right, this is a mockery, a mimicry of Isaiah's words, and thus not a divine command. Well, then what kind of command is it? All right, and dealing with that, Isaiah is dealing with poetic speech there in that chapter. It's talking about the fading flower, Ephraim being a fading flower, sat up on a hill, a fatted valley, and they've drunk and they've thrown it up all on their tables, and they've overcome with wine, and the pride of Ephraim shall be thrown down like the tree that produces the summer fruit, and some homeless man grabs the fruit and eats it before he can even look at it. He devours it. You have some poetic speech there, and it's some mockery there also, in that dubious. What does that mean? Let me look that up. Let me look it up for you, just so to make sure. Man, brothers, don't clip me, man. Brother Feeney just said some. I don't know what dubious meaning. Hesitating or doubting, not to be relied upon, suspect. So your precept upon precept is suspect. It's suspect. Is it a real precept? Is it a real law? It's not. All right, you have in the Brown driver Briggs here, it says elsewhere only, in mocking mimicry of Isaiah's words, of unintelligible speech of foreign agents. All right, it's really, and what they're telling you there, unintelligible speech. They telling you there that they really don't know what it's saying. They really don't know what that word solve is for. Believe it or not, solve is not the word for precept. It's not the Hebrew word for precept. All right, if you see this, and you knew the Hebrew word for precept, you wouldn't write precept there. That word is used. Watch this. The word is used. The KJV translates Strong's HH 86673. Precept. It translated 8 times. In commandment 1 time. It's translated as precept 8 times. Well, we know four of those times of those 8 is inside of Isaiah 28 and 10. The other 4 in Isaiah 28 and 13, which a lot of us don't read. I wonder why. And this why you don't even follow your own hermeneutic principle where it says line upon line. Because if you did, you would read that, that Isaiah 28:13 is telling you something that you definitely are not repeating out here. Again, we're going to have to do these lessons every other month. We may have to do this, so you may see it again. All right, and it's showing you where these verses are located. Isaiah 28:10, Isaiah 28:13, and then the one for commandment is Isaiah 5 and 11. And we're going to look at them. We already in Isaiah 10. All right, we're already in Isaiah 10. Precept must be upon precept. Precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line. Even that's problematic. The line upon line, the here a little, there a little. It's unintelligible speech. All right, and this is why we have that verse in there where I say, "In stammering lips, will the people speak to you in another language? It will speak to you in stammering lips." You have this here already in the text. You're reading the stammering lips. It's not, they gonna go to America and now they saying it in America, even though this thing been translated in so many different languages before it became, from Hebrew to Greek to what's that, Latin to Spanish, then the English. It's French, But anyway. So we have this ordinance here that's not really an ordinance. Let's look at Isaiah. Let's look at the Hosea 5. See if we can pull that up. Hosea 5. Hold on, y'all. Hosea 5 and 11. Hosea 5 here, it says, Ephraim is oppressed and broken in judgment because he willingly walked after the commandment. Now, with that, you may say, hey, man, you know what? What's the problem? You just may read that and just keep on going, but let's read it carefully. It says, Ephraim is oppressed and broken in judgment because he willingly walked after the commandment. Now, this is the same word. This isn't Torah. This isn't the law. This isn't a hulk, a statue, and a picadum or something like that is for precept. This isn't the Hebrew word for precept. This is that word saw for, a suspect precept. This is a law, but it's not a law from God. It's a law from somewhere, but it ain't a law from God. It says Ephraim is oppressed and broken in judgment because he willingly walked after the commandment. So Ephraim did exactly what God said. If we just taking this from face value, Ephraim is oppressed and broken because he did what God told him to do. Because he followed God's word. Does that make sense? Is that the God we serve? That he gonna oppress us and put us in judgment for obeying his commandments? Is that right? Let's look here. Let's look at comparative text. All right. This is the NIV. It says Ephraim is oppressed, trampled in judgment, intent on pursuing idols. The people of Israel will be crushed and broken by my judgment because they are determined to worship idols. That's the commandment that they're keeping. That's that same solve. That's that precept upon precept. Line upon line. And again, it's connected to Ephraim. Ephraim is oppressed and crushed in judgment because he was determined to go after filth. Look at the KJV again. Ephraim is oppressed and broken in judgment because he's willingly walked after the commandment. That don't make no sense. New KJV. Look at the New King James. Man, you see it's in italics. Ephraim is oppressed and broken in judgment because he's willingly walked after human precept. American, Ephraim is oppressed and broken in judgment because he's determined to follow man's command. All right. This is the same word that's used for precept upon precept, line upon line. That word is not used anywhere else in the Bible. It's not used anywhere else in the Bible. Let's go back to Isaiah. You see, we got the must be in brackets, and it's not there. So really, this thing is saying salve, 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 quaff, 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 quaff. Psalm. I don't know what that is. Psalm there, Psalm there. Salve, 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 quaff, 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 quaff. Psalm there, Psalm there, Psalm there. And they don't really know what it's saying. They don't really know what it's saying. And then it's funny that it says here, for with stammering lips, verse 11, and another tongue will he, who is the he? He speak to this people. Watch this. Let's keep reading. To whom he said, this is the rest wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest. And this is the refreshing, yet they would not hear. They're not going to hear. He says, but the word of the Lord was unto them, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little, that they may fall backwards and be broken and snared and taken. All right. And it's almost like we see it in other places where, you know, he's closed our ears. You know, with ears they can't hear, eyes they can't see. You see Christ speaking in parables so they wouldn't understand. You know, it just gets to a point in our obedience, you know, where the Most High don't, you know, he's like, nah, man, that's it, man. You know, even the fact of him taking away the temple, like, I'm not even finna let y'all, you know, make no atones anymore. That's it. That's it. My wrath is finna come down upon y'all. Alright. So the precept upon precept that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken. So why aren't we quoting this? Why don't we quote Isaiah 28:13? Why is this not part of our hermeneutic? And our hermeneutic. Why isn't this a principle to our methodology? Why isn't this, foundational to the way we understand the Bible? Why we just took verse 10? You see. Now let's look at Isaiah 28, and let's look at it in let's look at comparative text. Bible Hub here. Alright, NIV says, "For it is do this, do that, rule for this, rule for that, a little here, a little there." He tells us everything over and over, one line at a time, a little here, a little there. For it is precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. Precept upon precept, precept upon precept. For he says, order on order, order on order, line on line, order on order, order on order, law after law, law after law. You don't even listen at all. You hear a senseless sound. Look at that. Look at that translation. You don't even listen. All you hear is senseless sound after senseless sound. They speak utter nonsense. Y'all see that? Precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line. He's trying to teach us letter by letter, line upon line, lesson by lesson. For us, do this, do that, do this, do that. For they hear order on order, order on order, line on line. Indeed, they have meaningless gibberish, senseless babbling, a syllable here, a syllable there. All right, and again, the stammering lips. You keep going here. Very well then. With foreign lips and strange tongues, God will speak to this people. God will speak to his people through foreign oppressors who shall speak a strange language. All right, so that's close to what we say. And this is why they feel like, so in a sense, we do have, you got to deal with that part of it, that it's a foreign language. You can't put America in there, so I got to take that back. You can't put America in there. Even though still there's other translations to where this thing went down to, but you can't put America in there. I take that back. If I said it like that, for the people of strange lips and with a foreign tongue, will the Lord speak to this people? Indeed, with mocking lips and foreign tongues. Yeah, a stammering lips, another tongue. Indeed, he will speak to this people through stammering lips. Through stammering lips, he will speak to this people. The Lord will speak to this people through in strange sounds and foreign languages. And again, the issue too is that he's not speaking to you. It's ultimately he's speaking to you for your judgment. All right, you finna get judged. Ephraim is finna be judging you. This isn't for you to gain understanding. All right, so it's you can't translate it. The verse doesn't get, it's not translatable to be if we're honest. But we know what we do have translated is that ultimately this is a judgment on Ephraim. All right, this is not good. This is not, this is not a way out. What he's doing to them, how he's speaking to them, is part of their judgment that they won't hear. All right, him speaking through the oppressors in the strange language is for them to fall backwards. Is for them to fall backwards and not be able to understand this thing. To whom he said is rest place, weary place. God has told his people, here is a place, let the weary rest here. This is a quiet place, but they would not listen. So then, because of that, This is where they at. He told them. He gave warning. He gave them chance after chance after chance. Uh, so then the Lord, so then the word of the Lord, uh, to them will become do this, do that, rule of the rule. So the Lord will spell out His message for them again, one line at a time, one line at a time, so that they will stumble and fall, and they will be injured and trapped and captured. KJV again, that verse 13, that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared. Okay, this is a judgment. You're reading Isaiah 28. That first portion there is a judgment on Ephraim. Ephraim's captivity predicted. Okay, it's predicted. It's already laid out, and Judah gets a warning after verse 13. Then he starts going after Judah. Y'all hit the comments, man. Let me know if you have any questions on this. Again, we're gonna continue to revisit it because I know this is a verse. Matter of fact, let me go here. Let's go to Psalms 119. Psalms 119, 100. Says, I understand more than the ancients because I keep thy precepts. And look at this. Look at this. I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimonies are my meditation. So, I'm not saying that you don't get understanding by meditating on the word. That's how you get understanding. I'm just saying that you saying that a precept has to be a precept before the matter can be established. No, there's and you know how you challenge that is there are several precepts or there are several laws that aren't written anywhere else. They're only written one time, and if I show you those laws, then you have to throw away that methodology, or you have to say, well, no, we don't have to keep that law. And you do have, things like Deuteronomy, which is like a second law. And some even say that was written later. That was written after. Some scholars even say that was written after Babylon. That Ezra might have wrote that. They some say Ezra wrote a lot of First Kings, Second Kings, Chronicles, First Chronicles, Second Chronicles, Nehemiah, Ezra, maybe Jeremiah also. But they said most of that came after the Babylonian captivity. But y'all look into these things. Tell me what you think. Again, I'm not saying that you don't grab a verse and you may have it here, and if you do have it here, and you have it somewhere else, yeah, you can get a little more understanding. Like you have the Gospels, and you have accounts. You have the same accounts, and one account may have a little piece of there, and maybe a little piece there. Yeah, you do that. But I'm dealing with Isaiah chapter 28. What does that verse say? All right, that's what we're dealing with. What is that verse telling us? And for me, it's telling me that Ephraim went off, and the Most High is putting a judgment on them, where He's told them time after time, and now He's telling them in a language that they can't understand, and it's gonna cause them to fall and stumble and be driven into captivity. All right, pray this thing was edifying. Y'all be blessed. Shalom.